Hello. If you want to design your own mains AC to DC power supply, well, one of the most common topologies is the humble flyback converter. At the centre of the flyback converter is the transformer. This is often a custom part which has been optimised for this application. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we can use new developments in software tools to help speed up the design of this critical component. The transformer allows power to flow from the hazardous high voltage side to the safe low voltage side without using a direct electrical connection. It does this by using two windings, the first being the primary, which takes electrical energy from the hazardous mains input side and stores it in a magnetic field inside the transformer. A secondary winding then takes the magnetic field energy and converts it back into electrical energy and delivers it to the safe low voltage side. As an example for this video, we have a design producing 24 volts at 60 watts. And running with 70 kHz switching frequency, we've already decided that we need a primary inductance of 700 microhenries and a primary to secondary turns ratio of 4.58. So we now need to take these electrical specifications and map them onto our magnetic circuit requirements, such as flux density, number of turns, and winding current densities. Let's see how we can use the tool to help us speed up this design stage. Okay, so let's get started. As a test case here, we're going to try designing ourselves a 60 watt mains flyback converter and see what sort of designs the software actually develops for us. So what we do, this is the landing page, we click on New Design. We give it a name, in our case 60 watt flyback, for fairly obvious reasons. You can fill other details in here, but we're going to leave those blank for the moment. We also need to specify the type of magnetics. In our case, we're designing a flyback converter, so we click on the flyback button and press continue. So this is our high-level landing page for the flyback design. Here we can specify some of the high-level operating parameters for our flyback converter. So we start by putting the operating ambient maximum, so I'm going to put 50 degrees C for the moment here. The primary side inductance we know needs to be 700 microhenries. The switching frequency is 70 kHz. The input voltage, we can put a few operating points here with different input voltages, and that's important. This particular flyback converter is designed for single European mains operation, which could have an input AC voltage anywhere from 195 volts to 265 volts. When that gets rectified and smoothed by the input cap, that has an input voltage to the flyback stage of anywhere from 250 to 380 volts. So we'll put the 250 volt point for the moment in here. The diode forward voltage drop is the diode on the output, which we'll assume for the moment is 0.6 volts. And the output power in total, we're going to have a 60 watt capability here. Now on the output secondary side here, if you want to, you can specify more than one winding. For our particular design, we just want a single winding, so we leave that as it is for the moment. And we know, based on our design parameters, that the turns ratio from primary to secondary is 4.58. We won't cover why that's the case here. It's just what we've come up with for this particular design. The output voltage we need is 24 volts. And we're having all of the 60 watt capability on that single output. Now if we now click on update waveform here, you can see here the tool has given us a calculation of what the primary side drain current in the MOSFET here looks like, and also what the voltage across the primary winding of the transformer looks like. And this gives us a feeling whether the design makes sense or not. What we can do now is at the second operating point here, whereby we're running up at 380 volts rather than 250. So that covers the range of operating voltages for this particular converter. And if we click on Update Waveforms, here, you can see here, this is the updated waveform based on that operating, the higher voltage operating point. This is running into slight discontinuous operation, which is what we expected. And you can switch between those two sets of waveforms, just clicking here and here. So far, so good. So the tool has come up with three possible options for our transformer, varying in size from an EFD30 through an EP20 and through to an EQ30. And it's come up with a few options here which give us some differing levels of total power loss and form factor and size. Once we choose one of these, in our case, we're going to choose the EQ30 because it's the lowest loss of those three alternatives. We click on Load Design, and what the tool is doing then is running a set of calculations of how that core will behave in this particular example. So if we click back on the waveform section, the waveforms are the same, but we've got some simulation results now with peak flux densities, core losses, winding losses, and so on. And we can look at those for the other operating point as well. If we click Run, we'll come up with a different set of data here. There we go. Okay, so as you would expect, at different operating points, you're going to have different stress levels on the windings and the core, and that's reflected in the data here. So the tool also provides a neat way to look at the winding structures it's come up with to implement this EQ30 transformer. We click on the winding tab at the top here. Now under that tab on the right hand side you can see this graphic, which is a representation of a cross section through the transformer. The primary winding is in blue and the secondary winding in orange, and you can see here there's an interleaved structure being used with the secondary winding being sandwiched between two layers of primary windings, and this is good for reducing leakage inductance. On the left-hand side, we have two boxes here. Firstly, the primary. So we've got 37 primary turns. And if we click on the secondary box, there's 8 secondary turns. And all of the other details under this winding section you can play around with to implement different types of windings based on lit or single conductors or multiple strands or multiple layers, all sorts of bits and pieces there. So that gives us an idea of how the winding is built up in our particular design. Now, at the start of this design, I neglected to tell the tool that we actually need to implement a reinforced isolation transformer. And in our case, we want to use a margin tape. And there's no margin tape in here at the moment, so that's not going to meet our requirements. However, in this section, we can actually put in margin tape. So if I click 3mm here on the primary and 3mm on the secondary, and then click Preview, it will put 3mm at either end of the bobbin width. Now that looks a bit crazy because most of the available bobbin winding area is occupied by margin tape. And if we click Run the design to actually try and make it all fit, we're going to get an error because there's not enough space for the windings anymore. And you can see here, if we click on the Open Console under Warnings, the winding height might be too tight and you need to use a smaller wire. So if we could do that, but it's probably going to overheat. So this EQ30 with margin tape probably isn't going to work. But luckily, we can use this tool in a different way to come up with a different design which does meet our requirements. So for this particular 60 watt specification, we'd actually already come up with a design based around an ETD34 core set. And this is quite a useful way to demonstrate how we can use this tool to validate whether that particular design makes sense. So let's take a look. What we do, we start with the Core Optimizer tab here, and we can specify firstly the maximum peak flux density we want in our core. Let's put 300 millitesla for the moment. We want to choose an ETD34 as a family of cores to choose from, and let's choose a standard ferrite, something like 3C95. And we can plot out the selected cores. And we see a range here, in this case 3, varying in size from an ETD39 down to an ETD29. And the trade-off here is going to be the current density and the air gap lengths that we have to use in practice to meet our spec. Let's choose the ETD34. Okay, so we're in the core section now. Now we actually implemented our design with 41 turns to run slightly lower flux density in the core because it's a slightly oversized core set for our spec. So let's put 41 turns in. There's a single gap. We can launch the calculator to make sure everything stacks up. Here we go. Let's just do a calculation with 41 turns. We see actually the primary inductance is a bit high now, so we need to reduce the core gap length down to 0.3 or roughly 0.3 millimeters. If we click calculate, yes, that's about in spec now. Then we can apply that, and then we can click run. And what the tool will do now is to run that set of designs through its engine and make sure that the operating parameters are correct for that particular design. So let's go back and look at the waveform here. So yeah, here we go. We can see 275 milliteslas, total losses of about 1.4 watts. That's looking like a good place to start. So I've already been into the winding section for our ETD34 design because I wanted to change things around a little bit. I've moved away from the standard Litz wire default to use a round conductor wire, and the reason for that is that a single strand of 0.5mm enamelled copper wire is generally going to be cheaper than Litz wire. We've maintained 2 layers here though to give us our interleaved structure, which gives us low leakage inductance, and we have 41 turns on the primary. We've got our 3mm margin tape at each end as well. Now if we take a look at the secondary side, we have our 9 turns, and again I've moved away from Litz wire here to use round enamel copper wire with a diameter of 0.5mm. Obviously the secondary has higher current, so we've got 5 strands in parallel for the secondary now, and we wind those as a ribbon winding to give a nice flat winding covering as much of the bobbin width as possible. We've specified the 3mm margin tape at each end as well. And this overall gives us the structure we want for our ETD34 design. In fact, there's area to spare here, which means the core is somewhat oversized, but actually I designed it to be like that. So this is what we would expect to see. Now there's a really neat feature here. Once we've gone through and come up with our design, we can click on the summary button, and this gives us a snapshot of the 2 operating points that we specified back at the start, with input voltages of 250 and 380 volts, corresponding to the minimum and maximum RMS voltages available from the mains. It's always fun to get in the lab, so as a final test we're going to measure the DC resistance of the actual prototype that we wound and compare it against the tool. And what we do here is we pass a 1 amp current through the primary and the secondary winding separately and measure the voltage drop. And in the case of the primary, 1 amp DC current flowing drops around about 190 millivolts, so that gives us 190 milliohms DC resistance. And in the case of the secondary, that same 1 amp causes a 9.3 millivolt drop across the winding, so about 9.3 milliohms. So there we go. I hope you found that a useful introduction to show you how we can design our 60W mains flyback transformer. Magnetics really is a fascinating subject. See you next time.